1, 2, 3. It ain't easy, drives grind and grind. It's so lonely, lonely, lonely. Yeah, drives grind.
Oh, you there, Linesman? Yeah, I'm checking out that circuit from Singapore. It's a bit noisy. I'll ring test him and I'll let you know when I'm found out. Okay? Thanks.
This had been denied. He had become involved in one club to get as much out of it as possible. And that ends this news bulletin from the ABC. There'll be more news in 1 hour. The time is 8 o'clock.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right.
Good morning, Robert Peach with AM for Tuesday the 15th. The hijacked 747 has now left Kai Tak Airport in Hong Kong. John Pennington, who reports for AM from Hong Kong, came on the line a few minutes ago to say no passengers left the aircraft, the hijackers have still refused to identify themselves, and the aircraft which took off while he was speaking to us is now believed to be heading for a field somewhere inside the People's Republic of China.
Hello Sydney, this is New York, Terry Hughes at this end. We have 3 pieces for you this morning, one from the UN, a phone piece from the coast and a piece from Washington. So if you're ready...
Okay, tape's rolling.
Hello. Hello, John. Steve Cookson here. Steve, we've got one for you today. This one on a new approach to fighting corruption. This is quite a change in the government's policy. Corruption. Okay, mate. Fine.
The Hong Kong government is to take a tough new initiative against corruption in the colony's
Police force and public service. The job of investigating corruption is to be taken away from the Royal Hong Kong Police and a new anti-corruption commission established. How's that for level, Steve? That's fine for level so far, mate. We're ready when you are. Just give us the usual cue.
Okay, fine. Well, the items are coming in 5. The Hong Kong government's fresh attempt at fighting corruption finally accepts the public's loss of confidence in the police force here.
The biggest blow to public confidence in the Hong Kong police came with the escape from the colony of a very high-ranking police officer who was under investigation for corruption. Chief Superintendent Peter Godber's escape has been investigated by a Supreme Court judge,
who was told by corruption detectives that Godber held bank accounts around the world totaling 4.3 million Hong Kong dollars.
Identification, this is called Oil Rush. It's ex-Highfield, London for AM use. Key material on it. Europe will suffer far more than the United States and the Soviet Union from oil cuts by the Arab nations. That's the message that the British Foreign Secretary conveyed to the House of Commons earlier this morning. John Highfield on the line from London, coming in 5.
Peter Couchman in Singapore for AM. Right, that's it. Brian, did you receive that all right?
Yes, that came through fine, thanks, Peter.
Right. Look, I wonder, would you book me another circuit for 2 o'clock Sydney time today for a piece I've got for Correspondent's report?
Okay, that'll be done. I'll let Tim know about that.
Well, Mr. Steadon, if we could discuss the ways in which your party would control inflation and what effect this would have on the economy, I think that'd be quite good for the article. So if you're ready, we'll go 5 seconds from now. Mr. Steadon, what mechanisms would your party use to control inflation at the moment?
We believe that demand management is the major part of inflation control, therefore you need to get all the aggregates right.
And then
Yes, Peter. How does Sutton go? Fine. Yeah, well, look, Roger's got Frank Crean at lunchtime. Any particular points we can bring up with him? Consumer Price Index, yeah.
Crean's right for 12 o'clock in the Wentworth. Speak and interview afterwards, that should be fine.
Warwick, we've got to get down to those builders' labourers. It looks as though it could be rather nasty.
Well, there are a fair few police going down there, and the crowd's getting pretty large. They're much angrier than they have been before, so I think it's worth watching them very closely this time.
Yeah, what time is that about to start?
Well, it's just getting underway now, but I've got time to get down there, okay?
Yes, sir. All right, fine. Adelaide 6, Hobart 6 minutes, I think. Melbourne 12. Canberra, I think we better have a longer line today for 12 minutes. And a later Melbourne line, 6 minutes, and you fixed up the interstate and overseas ones as well. Yeah. Fine, good.
I think we've got to stress the point, of course, that there are 35,000 going out, and it's an indefinite strike.
We say we'll stop work on construction projects throughout Australia.
Yeah. Those two straight pieces there, so we'll break that up a little bit. Put that one over there. 2 overseas stories, and then back to the local stories, 1 more overseas story. Of course, we'll finish up on Harry Seacombe, so that will try and get it done.
Pat, that item from Diane Willman in Beirut that was just coming through, I think that sounds a pretty good one. And we should put it in number two slot, I think, which means that the one from Martin Bell in Egypt will have to go back to number 3, and then the rest of the program will be the same from then on, okay?
Yes, will that be okay? Right, good. Could I have a duration on that?
Yeah, it's about a minute and a half, I think, and it'll be coming out in a couple of secs.
Okay, like that?
Right. Another mass demonstration by residents and builders' labourers was held in Sydney today. How's that sound?
Very good. Okay, right.
Okay, again I'll stress that we will not be diverted by political gerrymandering by the Afghan government using the forces of the state. I think it's disgraceful.
That report on the builders' labourers demonstration was compiled by Tony Shields. Well, what could be a more sedate affair than a luncheon for the Directors' Institute? And who could be a less likely guest speaker than Neddy Seagoon, alias Harry Seacombe? And that's how it happened in Sydney today.
A good managing director always takes a keen interest in his employees. I know of one who sent for one of his employees and said, "Brown," he spoke like that, "Brown, you've been with us for 20 years. In all that time, you've never once been late. You've always been first in the office in the morning, last to leave at night. You've never asked for a raise, never taken your holidays, never had one day off for sickness, and generally speaking, you're the hardest working man in the firm. Brown, what's your bloody game?"
Not a leather imitation or a cardboard replica, but the real Harry Seacombe. And that's PM for this evening. We'll be back again at the same time tomorrow. See you then.
Later if you want to, because he's teaches you. Yes.
It's a political matter.
matter, we wouldn't deny that at all.
We've got the two teacher spokesmen and the minister now. Do you want to run the minister in after the first one or after the pair of them?
Oh, I think after the first one. I was a bit confused about whether he was talking state or federal at first. If we have the minister immediately, that clears that up.
Well, that's all right. I can get that checked. I'll get Holly to check it straight away for you.
Fine.
Good morning, Mr. Minister. It's Paul Black here from the ABC National Current Affairs programme AM, and I wondered if I could have a few words with you this morning about this controversy with Mr. Watson. Okay, I'll just get a tape recorder rolling. Mr. Minister, Mr. Watson claims you have trumped up this controversy to gain political advantage.
Well, I question whether it's a controversy to start with, and also that this arose out of departmental papers which were tabled in Parliament. Now, these papers were compiled by public servants, and in that sense, I had nothing to do with them other than simply present them in the House.
Well, why then do you think that he's made these charges?
I have no idea at all, other than perhaps to gain political advantage on his own score.
It seems on the subject of where members sit, divides them more violently than many social issues of the day. Advocates of the Camp Hill site say that it would cost less and could be used bit by bit as it's built. It would also enjoy the vista up Anzac Parade to the War Memorial, now much admired by tourists who visit the current building. Camp Hill, incidentally, is a site nominated by Burley Griffin himself. Warren Duncan for AM in Canberra.
Are you ready? Roll tape. Identification, interview for Correspondent's report with Peter Couchman in Singapore. End of identification, coming in 5. Hello, Peter Couchman in Singapore. You mentioned in one of your recent reports from Phnom Penh that despite the war, people were still sitting under striped umbrellas drinking iced tea in the streets and that kind of thing. Is it really like that?
Yes, the street cafes are continuing. People are still drinking cognac with their coffee. Food supplies have been maintained at an extraordinary level when you consider the military situation.
Righto, Robert. A voice check on microphones 1 and 2, please.
Yes, Tony on 1. Good morning, Robert Peach with AM for Wednesday the 16th. Microphone 2. Good morning, Robert Peach with AM for Wednesday the 16th, okay?
Both fine, thanks.
Thank you.
Fred Robinson, this is the age of Aquarius. What do you think that means for Australians?
It means that Australia now is faced with setting an example to the whole world of the brotherhood of man under the fatherhood of God as the world religion for the new Aquarian age. And it is the destiny of Australia to set the whole world an example of living the brotherhood of man under the fatherhood of God as a way of life.
What part has the youth of Australia to play in this?
They are the pioneers of this new fatherhood of God as a way of life. What?
It is merely a piece of window dressing tacked onto the public.
How far have you going down so far, Hamish?
About 2 minutes so far.
Can you get me another 10, 20 seconds out of it? It'll sound a bit better if it's tightened up anyway.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right.
Good morning, Robert Peach with AM for Thursday the 17th. It will be a shock to the world to learn what violence has accompanied the uprising in the Bamangwato Republic in Central Africa.
What's that?
After the first confused bulletins early this morning, there's been no official information.
To follow this one. Okay, understood.
A few minutes ago, our London office received this report from Martin McCann, who managed somehow to get through by phone from the capital, Naingwa.
I'm lying here on the rooftop of the Naingwa Central Post Office, the highest
building in the Central African city of some 40,000 people. About 40 feet away to my right.
That's a wolfish and move forth. We'll have to follow this one.
Machine gun and mortar fire.
Are we getting the Washington piece?
Yes, Martin's through now. It will put us about 45 seconds up at this stage, I calculate.
Understood. How much more of this one, please?
About 110.
Thank you.
Kilojika have barricaded themselves in and have so far managed to hold off 3 frontal assaults by the Army's Special Force.